Kristine, remember when you were a kid and you thought that your career was going to be this like perfect straight line trajectory?
Oh my, yes. That is not at all what happened. It ended up being way more of a squiggle than I could have ever imagined. And I am so happy that I embraced all of the squiggles along the way.
Welcome back, everyone, to Embrace the Squiggle, the podcast for anyone whose career or life looks nothing like a straight line. And here we are in 2026 and ready for all of this good stuff to happen for everyone. We are Colleen
And Kristine.
and we are on episode 108 with Mel McSherry. Welcome, Mel.
Thank you so much. Wow, 108. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's exciting. We always say we couldn't do it without Lily. So if Lily didn't exist, who's our producer, that's the advice I give everyone who calls me and says, hey, I want to start a podcast. It sounds so fun. Like, it is really fun. And if you want to actually do it, I highly recommend you pay a podcast producer.
I love it.
So that is my biggest piece of advice. So we are so excited to have you today. And I think we're going to just jump right in. So let's jump right in here, Mel. So what did you think you were going to be when you grew up? When you were a little kid, what did little Mel think she was going to do?
The first one that actually stuck, because I feel like we all go through, like, that first thing is usually a marine biologist. For some reason, I'm a child of the 80s. That seems to be like the number one thing. But as I actually got older and started finding what I really enjoyed, my first pull was to be a performer. My mom was a theater major, and both my parents are music majors. So I grew up going to the theater, musical theater predominantly. And I really, really, really wanted to be a performer, that triple threat. And that was actually a motivator for me up until my mid-20s. I ended up actually going to an amazing theater school in Seattle, Washington. Never been there a day in my life. I knew I wanted to get out of Arizona, where I was raised. And I did some research, found this amazing school called the Northwest Actors Studio. I flew out with my mom to audition. We found an apartment the next day. I flew home 2 days later, got accepted. And I think about a month after that, packed up everything and moved to Seattle, Washington. So it was definitely a transition for me in so many different ways. And even though that's not what I decided to stick with, I have found and continue to find glimmers from that time that has really supported me as I've continued to grow and be who I am today and who I will be tomorrow.
What are the glimmers that show up for you, that still show up for you?
The way that you can connect with somebody just by using words. I think we get so caught up in the after effects, especially when you're in business and entrepreneurship. We get caught up in, well, what am I going to get? What's the ROI? Because we talk a lot about that in entrepreneurship, and it gets dulled down into things that are strategic or tactical or measurable. And one of the things that I love about theater is that you're just with somebody. You're sharing a moment with somebody. You are being vulnerable and sharing with other people. And that aspect of it has continued to be one of my favorite things about how I guide and how I hold space for my clients, but also how that still is and so important to have as you continue to create the business, the money, and the life that you want.
Yeah, I've noticed that just in the last week or two, so many conversations have been centered around money, scarcity, ROI. And I love that
That time of year too.
It is, yeah, 100%. And yet I love that you've just named, and it's almost like an invitation to just stop and pause and really reflect back and remember what really is important when we're connecting with another human being.
Yeah, that's why when I speak about profitability, it's always multi-layered. It's mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially. Because we lose those other aspects of it. Because when we make financial that top of the hierarchy of needs, we make that the main motivator. That's not sustainable. That's not what's going to keep us in this crazy world that is, for me, entrepreneurship, and for anyone, life in general, right? But when you look back on, or when you choose to focus and spend time with those other profitability points, no matter if you're financially quote unquote successful or not, whatever that is, you still have those glimmers. You still have those moments of, oh, I received this, or I got this validation, or I now have clarity on this. And that's what makes you successful in a sustainable way.
And that piece is almost richer than,
It's deeper, yeah.
It's deeper, it's richer. I mean, yes, of course, we all need dollars in our bank accounts to feed
beautiful.
ourselves and all that kind of stuff, right? But that's the piece that, really, when you can walk away from a conversation, it's like, oh my God, this is what I just learned.
Yeah.
Or, this world of shadow work. It's like, oh, I just got triggered in that conversation. Yet the trigger, like I needed the trigger. I needed that little crack open. And
yeah.
So I love that perspective. What a beautiful perspective. Thank you for the Monday morning reminder.
Anytime.
So Mel, when you got out of the theater program, what did you do then? Like, how did you squiggle to where you are today?
So the Squiggle was in a very interesting direction. It actually landed me in the fitness industry. I became a certified personal trainer, and that definitely stemmed from the fact that I was a dancer from age 6 to on and off, 2022. I'd also, at a point in my life, was a competitive martial artist for a couple of years. Oh. And I knew I never wanted a traditional job, and beautifully, I had grown up in a very entrepreneurial household. My father now owns a very successful business. However, before the age of 40, we lived through several very unsuccessful ones, as well as both of my grandfathers and my grandmother were entrepreneurs. So having that freedom to not be traditional was very supportive, and I know I'm very lucky to have that. And so with that said, my parents were just really, what was important to them was what I find something that's important to me, that can fulfill me and that can create, sustainability and whatever that may be. And so, as I mentioned, that turned into becoming a personal trainer and being in the fitness industry. And I started my first company, which was in the fitness, in 2010. I did in-home training, outdoor boot camps. I got really well known for my bridal boot camps here in Chicago. And I loved it because there wasn't, looking back on it now, probably one of the bigger reasons why I loved it is because there wasn't a lot of noise when it came to entrepreneurship. Now with social media and there's so much noise.
So much.
Yeah. And so I really leaned into my self-trust and my confidence of what I wanted, what I didn't want, and how I wanted to create that. And
I want that. How do I get a little bit of that?
Well, honestly, if we want to skip a little bit, it's in your human design, which is why human design has become such a beautiful tool for me. And that found me in an interesting transition. I squiggled a lot in my journey. So going from, an in-home personal trainer to, in 2011, my son being born and me taking a pause from being an entrepreneur and figuring out this whole parenting thing, a new title, a new context, and so on and so forth. And then when I came back to entrepreneurship, it was to partner with an online health and fitness company called Beachbody. And
I've heard of them.
Yeah. And through there, I really thought that was going to be my MO for a while. And the universe was like, just kidding. And that happened when my leader at the time noticed that I was being very consistent in my sales. And with being a stay-at-home, we coined myself a married single mom. I was married at the time, but my husband at the time was traveling about 75% of the year. So being this married single mom, she was very impressed that I was really consistent in my sales every month. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, predominantly in network marketing, it's moms, it's parents who are trying to make a living, while being full-time parents. She's like, how are you able to do this? And I really didn't think I was doing anything different until I got the invitation to look back on it. And that's when I realized where I was honoring things differently was that I was honoring my time and my energy management. So even to this day, I do this. I wake up in the morning and I check in on myself. How did I sleep? How am I feeling? What energy is around me today? I look at my time, my calendar. How much time do I have to spend in my business? What do I have on my calendar? And and then I look at my to-do list and I slot what matches my time and energy management. Yeah. So that gave me a lot more freedom and permission to, customize my to-do list, to not be so married to, well, I said I was going to do this today. Well, guess what, Buttercup? It's not going to happen. So can I do a piece of it today, or is it just a not today thing? And what on my to-do list can I accomplish that honors both my time and energy? And when I turned that into a quick training, she put it into the new coach boot camp. Fast forward a year later, the team's productivity has exploded. We're in the top 1% of the company. I'm doing this training all throughout Beachbody as well as to other network marketing companies. And through Beachbody, I had a year-long internship under John C. Maxwell, who is like the guru of all coaches.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to him, actually.
Yeah.
And for a year, I got to have once a month a group phone call with him where I got to learn more about coaching, about holding space and supporting people. And that's when I was like, this I think is my next plot twist. And lo and behold, I'm in the middle of my divorce. And I was like, you know what? If there's any time to just squiggle.
Squiggle life, squiggle career, right? Squiggle
Yeah,
it all at the same
might as
time.
well squiggle it all.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. And so
Go big or go home.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. And so I left Beachbody in 2016, launched my business, quote unquote, coaching company in 2017, focusing on what I called profit prioritization. So what are your profit avenues, mentally, emotionally, time-wise, and so forth? And then as I progressed, as I mentioned earlier, the noise factor, right? The noise factor is so different when you're in business, quote unquote, coaching. It's exponentially different. And
Yes.
I got caught up in it. Full disclosure. I drank the Kool-Aid. I started copying and pasting. I started losing bits and bobs of myself that I thought just weren't good enough. And I was just clinging on to other people's frameworks and images and all of those things. And in 2020, I found myself at a crossroads that I wasn't expecting, which was on paper, I was the epitome of success. Still single, taking care of my son, making 6 figures, traveling all over the world, doing it. Internally, feeling so lost, so disconnected, such a fraud. I mean, this wasn't even close to imposter syndrome. This was levels above it. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't right. Like, this couldn't be success. This feels crappy. This is not cool.
Yep.
And then that's when Human Design found me. It found me at a spiritual retreat in Sedona, Arizona. I read my charts, went down a rabbit hole that weekend, and just sobbed from relief.
Yeah.
Because it was me. It was the why behind my how. Why this worked. Why this didn't. Why this always felt good. Why this never felt good. And to give myself that gift of myself, as well as the vernacular to advocate for myself and the awareness to start shifting things so the self-trust and self-confidence can come back to myself, has been beyond game-changing for me, my business, my partnership with my partner, my son, my relationships, and so forth. And so I didn't know how I wanted to utilize it until I played with it more and really got into it. And I didn't come out of the spiritual closet until 2022 and started talking about it on LinkedIn. And ever since then, it's been such a beautiful space that I can share with somebody where I mirror them, we spend time with them, and then if they choose to, I can guide them based on them, not on what I think is the best frameworks or what is taught as the most profitable avenues.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love this. I freaking love this shit. Like, I've kind of been going down a rabbit hole of astrology. And I know that human design and astrology, I want to say some linkage-ish.
It's one of the modalities it uses. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And I know home for me is in Vancouver. And there's a community of entrepreneurs that I've spent the last year sort of immersing myself into and meeting and going to events and stuff like that. And so many people who are certified in human design, and they say the same thing, and I have to, I'm just going to link it back to, I'm going to call it Strength Finders, Gallup, Clifton Strengths. I remember doing that assessment in 2012 and going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Well, no wonder I show up in the world like this. Oh, and I haven't done the human design thing, and I've been following a few people in terms of like who I might want to engage to do it. But, you know, I'm going to bring leadership into this for a minute because that's kind of, you know, the space that Colleen and I play in so much of. And I'm just going to go for the X rating today. Every leader on this planet needs to do a fucking human design or a Clifton Strengths, or I'll give you a couple of other suggestions.
Yeah.
And know the people on your fucking team.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And
know yourself first.
Yeah,
right?
know
Start with yourself
first. Yeah.
And then
exactly.
Right?
And
how
then do it with your team.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know yourself and you don't know your team, you are living in a space of hell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It is
And it's
hellish 40 hours a week for these human beings, all of you together, mixed together.
Yeah.
So I just love that this is the topic. I mean, oh my God, you're setting up my week just to be like, my cup is full. We're done. My cup is full.
I love that you brought that up because that's been something that I've talked a lot about. Like, I do predominantly work with entrepreneurs, but what's come into my ether more and more is companies, like marketing companies and branding companies that want to serve more than just the bottom line. They really want to know their client and they want their client to know themselves.
Love it.
And it's those quote unquote little things that make such a big difference. And we have seen it already. Since 2020, we have seen that the traditional copy and pastes and traditional rooms or traditional leadership values are out the window. They're not connecting, they're not working, they're done. And there will still be some people, some companies that will hold on to that till the day, that'll be the hill that they die on. However, there are so many of us right now who are in this, WTF phase. Like, okay,
this God, has been every morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, especially in the United States.
Every
cool.
Well, yeah.
But it's that call, and it's not that call to seek the expert. It's not that call to find that formula or that thing that you're missing. It's the call to find yourself.
Yeah.
It's that
100%.
call of what is your profitability points? Where does your uniqueness bring your purpose to life? And how can you support others in bringing theirs as well? Even if you're not a coach, as a leader, when you step into a space and know exactly
100%.
your boundaries, exactly your strengths, exactly your stopping points and starting points, and you, to your point, Kristine, and you know your team around you and how they communicate, how they need to ask questions. I mean, I use this in parenting. I use this for partnerships, for people who want to go into business together and how they can, be cohesive with each other. It's such an insight. And it's one to where, again, it doesn't tell you what to do. It gives you the information that you can play with and customize to yourself. So then you have that confidence that is such an example to those around you. And instead of trying to make everything fit into this line 1, line 2, line blah, 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 it is the squiggle. It's really letting that squiggle be profitable and connecting and learning and lesson learning.
Yeah.
So many of the folks I work with, right, if we do Clifton Strengths or we do anything, the thing they come back to me at 6 months later, inevitably over and over again, is this didn't just impact me at work. It impacted me at home. It impacted me in my life. It impacted, right, how I live in the universe piece. And to me, that's the most important part, right? If we're helping people understand their best way to get through the world and their best way to manage their energy through it, and what are the things that energize them and drain them, like they're just going to be so much happier, right? Life is going to feel better. So Mel, I think there's probably a lot of people who are listening right now who are like, what the hell is human design? I've never heard of this. I think it's not something that a lot of people, or that most people know about. So I'd love if you could kind of give us a couple of minutes on what it is, what it looks like, that kind of the basics of it, so folks
Yeah.
can understand why something like this is so impactful. Like they've heard Kristine and I talk about strengths and Hogan and lots of those things over and over again, but
Yeah.
this is a different approach or right, a
Very.
different version of it.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to explain it a little to our listeners.
Absolutely. So human design is a combination of 5 different modalities that are utilized. So it utilizes astrology, I Ching, the chakras, the Kabbalah, and quantum physics. And what it does is it shows you, it's coined the science of differentiation because it's your energetic blueprint. I like to call it your operations manual that you were born with. It shows you where your energy comes from, how you receive it, how to make your best decisions, what are your best processes, routines, practices, where are the areas that you have gone too far in, and why, and where has that come from, and what can you do to shift that back? It gives you, as I mentioned earlier, that present of you. And it's nothing that you don't know. That is one of my favorite things about when I have a reading. First, I get some, I've had questions before of, are you going to tell me when I'm going to die? Or I'm scared that like, you're going to tell me I've just,
psychic stuff, medium.
they're like, I'm afraid that you're going to tell me I've just like fucked up every single decision. I'm like, no. We all naturally live inside of our design. I like to kind of frame it as you've mentioned several other tests, which all of those tests give you such beautiful information. And I really don't think one is better, quote unquote, than the other.
I don't either.
How I look at it is, Enneagram and Strengths Finders and all of those things are the top of the iceberg. Human design is the bottom of the iceberg. That is why you get the results that you do. And it's that deeper, more foundational information for you. And so through that, as I mentioned, one of my favorite things is when I'm spending time with a client in a reading and I just see their shoulders drop and they go, oh.
Makes so much sense, right?
Yeah,
That moment
I'm
of,
not lazy. I'm not crazy.
This is me.
You
right?
know-
This is really me.
You know what I just want to call out really quick is that feeling of relief when you've been surrounded by people that have projected at you
Yeah.
and have been mean and jealous, and like I could go down the list of all kinds of descriptive words. And then when you learn that it's like, wow, I was actually operating at my best.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the results that I did because these are my superpowers. This is my human design. This is how I was born to show up in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, what a moment of healing.
And what I always love is even for those who may not feel called to connect with their human design, or maybe that's just not an avenue they choose to go down, but they want to kind of have the proof or the example of what their design is. I always say, go back and think through your most profitable decision, mentally, emotionally, energetically, financially. And how did that come forward? Because that is your human design in its full beauty. And so we don't try to act opposite of who we are, but we can be conditioned that way, especially in entrepreneurship or especially in spaces where, there is a certain image of success or leadership or what have you.
Or toxicity. I mean, I know that's a buzzword.
Oh my God.
But
Like the toxic positivity too, right? It even helps you customize those one-liners. Okay, good. Sorry. I just wanted to check to make sure that my candle had actually gone out because I was smelling smoke. So sorry about that. Cut that, Lily.
Cute.
So as I was saying, it's those moments, right? And when you see the why behind your how, and then not only see it, but then you have questions to ask yourself to get back on track of that, then it's honoring and being grateful for whatever conditioning you had, because that's another thing is that, again, human design isn't, okay, start here, do this, do that. It is very understanding of your community, your culture, your environment. Yeah. And it is up to you to curate that information and implement it how you see fit. But do know that it is you. And so all the decisions that you've made, whether they're from yourself or not self, which is another aspect of, shadow work, it is still you being yourself in the best way that you could with the information that you had at that time. And when you have that deeper, insightful information, whether it's through human design or any other of the tests that can give you that information, it's then starting from that new space of, oh, now that I know this to be true, what can I shift? What can I bring forward? Or even what can I let go of? I just made a post recently about understanding what you don't want is more important than understanding what you do want.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. All the time.
There's a reel posted on my Instagram from another podcast episode, and I said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, I can't go there. No. Like, it's so negative. It's rich information.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
You know? Like,
And
here
it
are all
gives
the
your
things I don't want.
Yeah, and it gives your system awareness. So then when it does pop up, your little red flags go, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh, I don't want this.
Whereas when you like just put on your blinders of what do I want, and then something is similar or something might be connected to it, you just instantly say yes.
You know, I just had a conversation a couple weeks ago with a family member, and it was probably the most vulnerable conversation I've had in my entire life with this person. And it was a moment of actually being seen. And it was a moment of being, you know, I was called out for like living life the way that I want to live life. And I was like, absolutely, 100%. I do that. I choose me first, and then I move forward accordingly.
Yeah.
And I, you know, like, it's completely shifted. I know that it's shifted our relationship
Absolutely.
for the much better moving into the future. And yet I was like, yeah, because how I'm showing up feels, again, buzzword, like, it feels authentic. It feels in flow. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, it feels effortless the way that I'm showing up now. And now I'm really curious about what the human design is going to tell me, because I probably will pay all this money and go, oh shit, I could have told myself that.
Well, to be fair, that's why we have support like that. Because, yeah, we could talk to ourselves so we're blue in the face, but we don't always listen to ourselves.
No, I know. Oh,
it's a lot different when somebody else goes, oh, here's this. And you're like, yes,
it's
thank
proof,
you.
right? It's like proof
exactly.
that you can say, oh, okay, so this is what I always thought was me. Now I have proof that it is me.
Now I got proof of it. And just that forgiveness, that permission, that healing from really knowing, you know, how you operate from a soul level or at a soul level. Yeah.
So Mel, I know a lot of the work you do is with entrepreneurs, and being the beginning of the year, I feel like this is the time of year that many people get in their mindset of, I'm going to launch a business this year. Or, right, like or actually the most common I get is, I'm going to quit my job and start a business this year. Should I quit my job today? And the answer is usually like 95% of the time it's no, right? Unless you're independently wealthy. But so when entrepreneurs come to you, talk to me a little bit about how you kind of use this and how you work with entrepreneurs, because I think that's a kind of a nice little niche area that you work with that really help so many people.
Yeah, I would say predominantly when clients find me, it is because they're in what I like to call a hallway. We talk about the doors of opportunity, but rarely do we talk about the hallways in between. And the hallways are those really beautiful, profitable, transitional points that we need and should take more time inside of. It's uncomfortable. Like, everybody just wants to run straight to that doorway, right? Because we just want to know what's going to happen. Like, turn the page. I want to know what happens. And yet it does us such a disservice, because that's when cycles get repeated. We start getting into the same relationships, having the same conversations, possibly saying yes to same toxic spaces that we thought just were different because they were wearing a different color, right? Because we don't trust our instincts. Whether that's through trauma, training, or a combination of all of the above. And to me, those hallways are the moments when you can really celebrate, recalibrate, and initiate. Because it's that celebrate of, okay, this is done. What did I learn? What do I want? What do I not want now that I have this information? Who am I because of this information?
Yeah.
And how do I want to continue to move forward? And by understanding their human design, it brings them back to that self-confidence, that self-trust that either they had in the beginning and lost along the way, or never had a day in their life. And because a lot of them are moving from corporate to entrepreneurship, or from one business, that they've been in for decades, to a brand new business that they think is totally not even in their niche or part of their identity, it's understanding why it is the way it is. And yes, this is what it is. And so from there, when they can understand and connect to, again, what they already know, but to your point, Colleen, it's proof. Like, this is, yes, you are
Somebody
right.
else said this is it.
Yeah,
right?
I am validating it for you
Yeah.
as well as this beautiful system. Is that then it shows you it solidifies and shows you your strengths. It solidifies and shows you your starting points, your stopping points. And as I mentioned earlier, those processes and profitable avenues that are correct for you. And not in a way that, it's right or wrong. It's never that black and white, but it's that most easeful, that most profitable, that most fluid spaces. And throughout that, still maintaining a mental, emotional, and energetic profitability.
I love that you didn't actually use this word, but you alluded to reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And reflection, in my humble opinion, is the most underrated skill out there.
Agreed.
Because people are afraid to sit in this space of reflection. I asked a client I asked a client last week. I said, like, if you sat on the couch for 30 to 60 seconds, no podcast, no music, no television, no phone, no nothing, 30 to 60 seconds, what are you afraid that you're going to find out about yourself? And anyways, conversation went on from there. It's the most underrated skill, yet it's the most powerful gift you can give yourself, is to sit and to really, truly reflect back. So
yeah, because we are the most profitable avenue in our life and in our business. So understanding and utilizing that to its fullest. And again, you're not doing this by yourself. Nobody's asking you to sit in a room and never talk to anybody. No. It also then gives you that strength and that permission to an understanding of what support is actually best for you. It may not be the person that is making the six figures that is, spouting all of this stuff that you're like, but I kind of want that, but it's more of, oh, I see what they're doing. I'm going to listen to them if however that is for you, whether it's social media or a workshop or what have you. But then because I know this about myself, I'm going to take this, I'm going to bless and release this, I'm going to customize this, and then I'm going to peace out because I got everything that I needed to get out of. And so it takes away that question that we have asked ourselves so often. We've invested heavily in things that have not turned out. We're always like, well, what's wrong with me? With human design, it shifts that to, well, what was wrong with this formula? And
the
what
situation.
Pieces of it were right for me. Yeah, it's not you.
I mean, sometimes it is you.
It
but
can be.
You have your moments, right? Those disconnects. And also, it's that where could have you said no? Where could have you stopped?
And what a gift this is for, I think, entrepreneurs especially, right? Because so often we are on our own, right? All three of us are entrepreneurs, right? Often there's that whole solo piece. There's that whole, I don't have the big, daily connecting with people piece. Yeah. You're not walking around and I don't walk around an office anymore and talk to people all day long. I talk one-on-one to folks mostly. Mm-hmm. So to have that chance to work with you, what a gift for these entrepreneurs who get that ability.
Thank you. Yeah, it is that it's great to be comfortable with yourself. It's very empowering to be comfortable with yourself. And even in those relationships, how can you ensure that they are also profitable? Because I know for me, there's an area in my chart where I'm a hermit, which means I need time to disassociate. I need to just go away, not talk to people. And before that was confirmed by human design, I used to call myself an extroverted introvert.
Oh, got it. So many people call themselves that. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
So in human design, that typically means you have a lot of centers that are open, which means you receive a lot of energy, or you have one of the energetic motors defined, which means you just are natural with a lot of energy, but you probably have a line 2 in your chart, which means you need to pull away.
Recharge.
You need to clear that. Yeah.
And I think everybody does. I think even the most extroverted extroverts still
100%.
need that time.
Yeah,
And I think
and that rest is different. And that's another way
Yes.
that human design can help you is it can help you redefine terms that we use all the time, like rest, sales, consistency, and so networking, marketing. I mean, it helps you really understand what those words are to you and how you implement them.
Yeah, everybody needs rest, and I think that people who think, and you can challenge this, is people who need to have the constant stimulation. They're avoiding something.
I would challenge that a little bit because I do have some clients with how they're designed with what's called a manifesting generator, where they are meant to be in multiple areas very profitably. What was that?
I think I did a free one just out of curiosity, and I think I'm that manifesting generator.
And so here's the thing with that, and this is something that I'm glad we are talking about really quickly, is the fact that there are so many layers to human design. I call it the ultimate onion of personal development. And one thing that people have started to do is just take one element like their energetic type and making massive decisions off of this one very broad piece of information. And so even when I say, yes, Manny Gens, but also there are certain areas in their chart where I have a client, she does not want to sit and watch television with her partner. Her rest is in the garden doing that. Her rest is knitting. Her rest is still doing something, quote unquote, energetic, but it's still releasing that energy. And so to her, that's rest. And so again, it's that, yes, everybody needs rest. However, it's not for everybody to just sleep or nap or disassociate like some of us do.
We're going to need to wrap up here in a minute. I actually can be so exhausted and yet get on my bike and go do a ride with nobody, like just me and the bike, and come back and like my cup is full again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's with that information that you need to honor for yourself and not punish yourself because like, well, somebody's telling me I need to take a nap. Apparently I should be. It's like when you have the baby, you should sleep when the baby's sleeping. Who does that?
Worst advice ever.
Right? So it's along those same lines of it gets repeated just because it's what is repeated. But a lot of us don't take the time to actually go, well, what does that actually mean to me? Mm-hmm. I just take it as face value and then punish myself because I'm not sleeping when the baby sleeps.
And and just as we move to close here, the more that we know about ourselves, the more we have the ability to communicate to the key people in our life that need this information.
Absolutely.
So that there isn't a misunderstanding or a trigger or, friction. And so the more, just like it's a game changer. The more that you know about yourself and the why behind I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, can absolutely, to Colleen's point at the beginning of our conversation, never mind the work environment, whether you be an entrepreneur or you go to an office, like look at the relationships, your inner circle of relationships. It can 100% flip those on their head for the better. So.
Absolutely.
Amazing conversation. Love this. This is such my jam.
Such your jam.
I know. The wooier, the better. Oh, yeah. Me and my astrological rabbit holes right now. I actually had to delete Instagram off my phone I was like, stop going down the rabbit hole of, why do you feel like this? Oh, well, the stars are like this today.
All right, Mel. So now we're going to jump into our fun, fabulous, quick lightning round here.
Love it.
Where we just ask you some fun questions just to get to know you a little bit more.
Your human design.
All right. First one. Are you a heels or sneakers person?
Sneakers.
Same.
Used to be heels, not anymore. Now my feet are so messed up. It's like,
Yep. No. Yep. Same. What are you bringing to the potluck when you get invited?
Ooh, I do love a good creative salad. I'm that creative salad person.
Fun. All right. What is your pump up go-to song? Like what's the music that you play when you're like, I need to get energized?
I'm a huge EDM fan. So anything that's
Oh.
Calvin Harris, Midas, Alan Walker, old school Robert Miles. Yeah, I've been an EDM person since I was a teenager.
Wow, very cool. And do you have a book recommendation for our listeners?
Ooh.
Fiction or
Okay.
nonfiction? It could be something they learn something, but it could also be complete fluff.
So I feel like everybody's going to probably be recommending like professional because this is January.
Not
So
all the
I'm going to
time.
go on the other ends
Yeah.
just because, I like to round things out. So one of my absolute favorite series is called The Dresden Files. It is nonfiction. It's written by an author named Jim Butcher. And it is a sci-fi fantasy, not like Sarah J. Maas fantasy, very, very PG. And yet it's one of my favorite series. There's 17 books. He's a wizard named Harry in modern day Chicago, and he helps the police solve different crimes. But then there's this undertow of his background. And anyway, the way that Butcher writes, he's one of my favorite authors. I love that he also throws in a lot of pop culture references. Like he'll make a Ghostbusters reference or a Monty Python reference, and I love
fun.
that. So it's one of those fun, easy reads just to kind of give yourself a little bit of break.
And I love that it's a series because I always hate when I read a book that I love and I'm like, I want to read what happens next, or I want to see this
and
character
it's
again.
almost a completed series.
Yeah.
So even if you started now, it's not like you have to wait a gazillion years. There's 17 of them for you to get through. Number 18, I think, is coming out this year.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of a series being that many books.
He's an amazing author, and it's not repetitive. It's not a boring series. It just adds on more layers and more information.
Cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. So if our listeners wanted to find you or learn more about human design, where can they find you, Mel?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can feel free to check out my readings on my website at melmcsherry.com, or they can respectfully stalk me online through LinkedIn. My name's Mel McSherry, or on Instagram at Mel_McSherry. Or if this conversation has sparked some things and your brain is like, I need questions and I need space held with no pressure or no coercion, I do offer complimentary 30-minute virtual coffees for that exact reason. And you can schedule one of those at virtualcoffeewithmel.com.
Nice. Yeah, we will make sure to link all of those in our show notes today. I couldn't get the word show notes into my brain there for a minute. It's what happens when we record on Mondays and I haven't had all my coffee yet. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. For all of you listeners, it's the beginning of the year. We have lots of new exciting things happening in 2026. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow and subscribe and share this episode with someone else who you think might be interested in a squiggly journey. You can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So thanks so much. And if no one's told you already today, you're exactly where you need to be. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Mel. That was awesome.
Is it time for you to add a little squiggle to your career? Join us every week to hear from another guest talk about how they embrace the squiggle.
Subscribe now and find your inspiration.